Hi, everyone. Let's see if I'm live yet. Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. I wanted to come on today to start to talk about kind of some of the developments around Heart of the Matter and really talk about the essence. So many of you might know, I don't know who knows this story, but I'm going to share it. So I went to an education conference 2 years ago in October, and it was in Indianapolis. It was an actual going to visit innovative schools in Indianapolis. And at this conference, I had a flight to Denver, then a layover from Denver to, or on the flight to the conference, flight to Denver and a layover. It was each flight was about 2 hours, I believe. So on the first flight, I sat next to a UFC fighter. It was the smaller airplane that has like two seats, so there's just the two of us. And I don't know how you guys are, but I'm not usually one to chat on airplanes. And given that he was a UFC fighter and had his headphones on, it was like his body language was very close. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to chat with this dude. But at that moment, I started writing down in my journal. And this is a really beautiful thing that happened that's hard to explain. You've heard these stories about sometimes where the pen kind of takes over and you're not even sure what you're writing. That's what happened. So I just started writing kind of what was coming through me very intuitively, very much kind of like just flowing through me. And it was really just, let's just write down what I'm feeling, what's happening right now. And I basically wrote down the concept of heart of the matter, which at the time, it was so clear, like I wrote it all down. And at the time, there were three concepts that kind of stuck. It was an online university with uh, with a connection with community at the center and a movement. It was those three things that came through, and then I started writing it down. So I was like, well, it's going to be some version of an online learning community, and it's going to be really about community. Like that's going to be the whole essence is going to be about community. And then finally, it's going to be an actual movement. So I just started writing it all down, and I literally wrote down the whole entire, and I spent the next year and a half. I actually think this was 2.5 years ago now that I'm thinking about it. I spent the next 2.5 years actually writing down, trying to like figure it out. And I'm laughing because it was all figured out for me. But I spent the next 2.5 years mired in the ego, mired in the false self around, wait, it actually can't be this simple that I could just get a download, write it all down, and then here's the next really cool part of the story. Then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it and I'm gonna write. So I'm like, whoa, what just came through me? This is amazing. I'm like all excited about this, and I get to the next plane, and there's a woman about my age that's again in the two seats, and I'm like putting in my headphones and sending every message to her that I'm not interested in talking to her, and she's clearly wanting to talk to me. So she's like, hey, hi, like, hi, and eventually we start talking, and she's like, I got a 5-year-old, and I'm trying to figure out what I should do with my kid or something. And I was like, oh, what's your story? So she tells me the story about how she is a female entrepreneur and she now does business coaching because she sold her 3 businesses for millions of dollars. She used to live in Santa Barbara, which is where I grew up. Then she moved to Boulder, Colorado. Now she's in more isolated part of Colorado. But the point is that she tells me I'm a business coach, and I go, oh, hey, can I ask you some questions? So I start asking her these questions. We talked for about an hour and 40 minutes, and at the very end, we're getting ready to land, and she goes, hey, aren't you? She goes, oh, what's holding you back from implementing this idea? I was like, I literally just had it 2 hours ago. But anyway, so the idea was basically totally channeled. Then I met somebody who, to this moment, I still use her advice. Like she gave me very specific advice. I got to the hotel in Indianapolis. I wrote down every single detail of the advice she gave me on all these notepads in the hotel. I still have them. But I wanted to tell that story because I think it's so cool how this movement and this community that I'm trying to build is born. So here's the deal. The essence of Heart of the Matter is about community. So if you've read the Starbucks book, if you've read about WeWork, or you've learned about community spaces, and there used to be, it's what's called the concept of the third place, which is your home and your workplace, and then the third place was the church or the school or whatever. And a modern phenomenon is there's not a third place for people to connect anymore. So what I really felt deeply intuitively and really felt is that we need spaces where people can connect as a community. And I think if you're agreeing with that, I'm sure you're nodding your head, but it's really, really a big missing part. And then with COVID, it's like, wow, this is really a missing piece, because now we can't even go into the co-working space, and most of us can't go into the church, like whatever it might have been. And so that's one of the things that I really want to create with Heart of the Matter. And that's the essence of the whole entire. Of course, there's going to be courses, and there's going to be courses on conscious leadership, conscious schools, conscious healing. And so the real vision is to actually create a movement and a community whereby you can go to this platform and you can find these really amazing conscious healers that are going to help you do the inner work to actually change your life, which is what's happened to me over the last 3 years. You can go to this community and you can learn about conscious leadership and how to lead from a conscious in a conscious way. You can go to this community and you can learn and be supported. Everything is about support and community. You can be supported in trying to build a conscious school, a homeschool, unschool, whatever it may be in your community across the world. It's global. So I came up with a very simple line or tagline or sentence for Heart of the Matter, which is a global community for conscious healing, leading, and learning. That's it. That's what it's about. So that's a vision that I'm holding. That's the essence. The essence is that we're connecting, we're supporting, we're a community, we're helping each other, and we're just moving toward this vision of a better world and really helping humanity rise in consciousness. That's the vision. That's what was delivered to me 2.5 years ago. I wrote it all down, and then I spent all this time. And just to be clear, I spent a lot of time kind of figuring out how to find my true self. But within that time, I also spent a lot of time healing. And so I went within, and I went and met with a lot of different coaches, did a lot of courses, a lot of different support that I found to show up in the way that I'm showing up now, which is definitely not the way I ever thought I'd show up doing a live impromptu with no notes. I did write down the tagline. That's my only note. Anyway, so that's the essence of Heart of the Matter. I really hope if you're interested. Oh, and then a few updates. So, number one, the podcast is launching officially on September 9th. The trailer is already up on Apple, iTunes, and the name of the podcast is A Conscious Way Forward. It's really where I share about my life journey, about my journey as an education reformer, about my journey as a dad, and my more recent journey as an entrepreneur and a conscious leader. And so I've already recorded like 8 episodes, so they're all going to be coming out. And I'm going to continue doing the interviews on Facebook Live. I'll start doing them on here instead of my personal page, but I'll share them on my personal page. So the podcast is coming out. If you're interested in joining the Heart of the Matter community, the Facebook group, that is just I'll put it into the comments, and that's a invite only, but it's a free group. And then I'm also running 3 series of courses, which I just recorded the masterclass with Staci Mehas-Lewanski, which I'm really excited about. I'll tag her in here, around the intuitive leader within. Super excited. We're doing a masterclass and then a 3-week course, and then we're going to open up a membership group for that. And then we're going to have a similar concept around parents that are trying to do distance learning and schooling, and just parents with school, like parents dealing with school, the version of school you're in right now. And that's going to be a similar concept. We'll do a master class. I'm doing that with Dinuka Ranasinghe. I'll tag her in here. And and then finally, Staci and I are going to do a course for teachers that really is about self-care for teachers. Like really, I was a teacher for years, and teachers are typically empaths, and we want to really, really care for teachers. And so we're here from all the work Staci and I have done to really serve and to hold space for the teachers that are really doing their best right now in a very difficult circumstance. So those are the kind of latest updates. Just to close and reiterate, the essence of Heart of the Matter is really holding a massively sacred space. So for those of you that are already in the group, you can look around the group and see that the light, the vibration is really sacred. It's really high. It's really a beautiful group of people. And whether people have either joined because they're really interested in conscious leadership, they've joined the group because they just wanted to be around all these light workers, or maybe they wanted to learn more about hypnotherapy or some other version of really next level conscious healing, or they're really interested in reforming the education system and they're like, we know we can do school better. Or maybe they're all three of those. Some people in the group are like deeply interested in all three of those and they're really excited about the group. So the purpose of the group is really to hold community. And my mind is creating a story like, oh, you should be posting more, you should be asking questions, and there should be more engagement in the group. What I'm realizing is that it's kind of the old way. And the way that I'm hoping to move forward is the conscious way forward. And that's to really hold the space and create the space. And it's going to heal and hold people just based on the light and the vibration that's in the space. So I will post, I'll do these lives and things like that, but I just wanted to offer this opportunity for anybody who's looking for a community to be held, to be seen, to be heard. Again, whether it's like coming up in the form and all that, the formless essence of this community is of this heart of matter is the community. So that's the whole purpose I came on today, is really talk about the purpose of community. I've spent my whole life building communities in classrooms and schools, and I don't think I realized how, hi Megan, I don't think I realized how much I knew about building communities until you see how bad the people are at doing it. But as a teacher, and this was just always been my gift, is how do you make every single child in the room feel like they're the most amazing person on the planet? So that's the same thing I do with my coaching. That's the same thing I did when I was a principal. That's the same thing when I coached the principals. The same thing when I opened schools. Like, it's always been about how do you help people find that inner light within to really be the best version of themselves. So that's always been my life's purpose. So Heart of the Matter is really about holding that space, holding that community, and the people that are being attracted to Heart of the Matter is so incredibly beautiful. And I think it's already becoming a really sacred space, and it's going to become more and more sacred. And as we put up the courses and all these other things, it's coming together one step at a time. And I think one of the messages that's really important to understand is that it just is one step at a time. So first I started interviewing people. The group was about 40. Then I started thinking, what is this going to be about? Is it about healing and light workers, or is it about education, or is it about leadership? Then I realized the mind wanted to make it about one thing, and it's about a lot of things. The tagline on the website is helping humanity rise in consciousness. So I'm not going to let the mind try and minimize it to one thing or one label. So it'll be a lot of different things, but I do know, regardless of the labeling and the mind-based games that we play, the end of the day, the formless essence of this group is community. So whatever, I'm saying it out loud, proclaiming it very clearly to the universe, whatever comes of this, whatever unfolds, it'll be about community, holding space for each other, supporting each other, and being together as we shepherd in this new world, this new earth, this great change we're in. And we got to support each other. We got to be here for each other. So anyway, that's the message for today. And I'm going to be talking more and more about the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to sharing that, making it go. Like I said, the trailer's up, and then we'll launch the first episode. Then every Wednesday for every week, the new episodes will be up. And I'm really going to ask for your help in supporting that that program, that effort, because it's a big, exciting venture for me. And I never thought I'd be a podcast host, because I spent most of my life being completely terrified of public speaking. But here I am doing lives. So anyway, life's a journey. Thank you, everybody. I love all of you. Much love to everybody. Have a great day.